Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Shankly Sessions, the Liverpool podcast we bring you literally every day on the upper tier on YouTube. If you could go out there, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. And also, if you could drop a like on the video to show your appreciation for the content we're creating every day. This is just a kind of a little sort of Liverpool kind of update. Just thought I'd jump on and have a chat. Because obviously our preview will be coming out on Friday for the Brighton game. And be careful, we owe them one big time, don't we? And hopefully they can sell a few players between then and now, so we have a little bit of an upper hand, let's say. But we're going to talk Liverpool tonight. We also have Nottingham Forest at the moment, just kicked off against Manchester United in the Carabao Cup semi-final. We will keep you abreast of anything that happens there. If any goals or anything happens, we will keep you updated. But tonight we're going to be talking, as you can see by the scroll bar down below, the heading. We're going to be talking about some of the information coming out at the moment in relation to Mo Salah. We're going to be talking about QIA and Kelleher, to name but a few. And we're going to be talking about players we've been linked with and a Jude Bellingham update. A lot of positive signs coming out today in relation to Jude Bellingham and Liverpool and stuff like that. And long may it continue. And good Lord, how long have we been talking about it? And if it wasn't to happen, just imagine the backlash if Jude Bellingham ended up at Real Madrid or somewhere else. But we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about maybe potentially Mo Salah moving out of the club and stuff like that, and where he might end up, and the kind of little bit of conspiracy about how it all comes together and stuff like that, and what it means. We're going to be talking about the sale, of course, sale stroke investment stroke shareholders that's driving Liverpool fans absolutely mental to absolutely go in on each other on social media and stuff like that, absolutely dividing the fan base at the worst time possible when we need to be together to push the team on and stuff like that. We're going to be giving a fitness update and stuff like that. There's a stat out there at the moment that we have to kind of drop and talk about. It's a really poor one at the moment. So we'll be getting into that as well. We'll be talking about that. But as I said, like, subscribe, smash the bell notification button, keep the support going. We are growing, not at the pace that we'd like to be, but we are growing and we appreciate your support. I'm also going to be back tomorrow night with Thursday Tier Talk. Myself and Dazzler will be back on your screens. We'll be doing an FA Cup preview. We will be bringing you all the latest transfer news and football headlines, some juicy ones in there to talk about. And of course, we'll give you our tips for the weekend on Beat the Bookie as well. Fun show. Hope you can join us. The banter will be top notch. So settle in for these shows. Get yourself a nice cup of tea. It's cold out there at the moment. Or if you're like me, I'm only back from the gym, so I'm necking the protein at the moment, trying to live that healthy life a little bit better at the moment and get back into the swing of things. But let's get on to this. Let's get on to the content, and let's start. Mo Salah, an interesting topic in terms of that divides opinion within the Liverpool fan base. Now, the problem that we see here at the moment is there's talk that Mo Salah may leave or may be sold. They're talking about somewhere in the region of 70 million. And the real question, I suppose, for anyone in the chat or for you Liverpool fans watching the show on replay is, how do you feel about the potential sale of Mo Salah? You know, 70 million in around where the valuation should be. Should we not sell him? How do you feel about the dip in form and how he has struggled at times, especially since the AFCON? Since the AFCON for the last, say, year nearly, his drop off, although some of his stats are pretty good, but his personal drop off has been quite huge as well from his level of performance and where he should be. And I just get your thoughts on that as well. But, you know, do we sort of, you know, bring players in at around the 24, 25, 23 mark, stuff like that, keep them for 5 or 6 years, and then should we move them on? Because if you only go back a few short years ago, we had Mane up front and we had Firmino and we had Salah, all three unbelievable, the best front three in the world, and a huge valuation on the time, probably somewhere close to 280, 300 million, I think people were talking about at the time. And now we find ourselves in a situation where Firmino's almost out of contract, may or may not re-sign. The gaffer sounds like he wants to keep him there, so he may get his wish. We have Mane, who left in the summer, absolute huge loss. fairly understated what the impact would be. 33 million. And then we have Mo Salah, who, if we do hang on to longer, and if there is a continued deterioration for whatever reason, it could be just the way the team is set up. It could be the transitioning into a new formation and tactics and all that kind of stuff. Certainly playing him out as wide as we play him is not a good idea, and we know that. So the question is, should we be cashing in on Mo Salah? And then those funds will potentially be used to maybe go towards the signing of Jude Bellingham. Which may not be the right thing to do, because obviously if we sell Mo Salah, we have to bring in a forward player. There was links with Federico Chiesa and stuff like that, and we know the problems that Juventus are going through at the moment, so their players are going to be available. It depends on the valuation that they put on them. Or do we believe that Mo Salah can spring back and rediscover that form that delivered, so many great moments for us? Golden boots, all that kind of stuff, So that's just put that out there for you guys to digest and see what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments or in the chat, depending on whether you're watching it live or on the replay. And I would say, if you are watching on the replay, of course, still like it and subscribe and everything else, all that good stuff. So that's one out there at the moment, and it's kind of one that's a little bit of a, let's say, a little bit of a decisive conversation that needs to be had. So the question is, would you be willing to let Mo Salah go if you were, if you thought that maybe a Federico Chiesa or someone come in? Would that be the right move to do, or should we keep Salah to the point where another couple of years he might deteriorate a little bit more, and then his value would drop down drastically? And then you're looking at a front line that was, worth 250, 300 million suddenly going out the door for 33 million. So it's a bit of a sting. And we always question teams as well. Remember, we've always questioned teams in the transfer window that hang on to players too long. We've often we've been skeptical of Arsenal at times in the transfer window, where they bring in players on big money in past times, not necessarily our Arteta era, and then they let them go and they end up going on a free or for little or no money, and they lose money on it and stuff like that. So not a good sign at all. Just to let you know, 8 minutes gone, Nottingham Forest 0, Manchester United 1. Marcus Rashford with the goal on 6 minutes. So United out of the blocks real quick. Marcus Rashford having a super season so far, really playing well. So that's the question there. We've also heard that Reece Williams has been recalled from Blackpool, and the talk that his recall has been driven by the talk that Nat Phillips potentially is going to go out again. I don't think it's on loan. I think they're looking for a sale this time or something like that. Personally, I'm not sure what way that works. I'd probably prefer Nat Phillips than I would Reece Williams. But that's just a personal thing. I think Nat Phillips, the one thing you can't question Nat Phillips on is the fact that he gives you 100% every single time. And that's not to say that Reece Williams wouldn't, but I just think Nat Phillips has shown us more, let's say. Eno's in the comments. How are you, Eno? What's the crack, Noel? Looking forward to the banter on Thursday, Tier Talk. Yeah, absolutely. Always a great show. Always come and join us. It's always a fun show, and especially when myself and Dazzler are on, it's great crack. The next one I really want to talk about is Caoimhín Kelleher. And this is an interesting one. It's no doubt, and I would put it out here to the chat as well, I believe Caoimhín Kelleher is probably, arguably, the best number 2 in the league in terms of the waiting to go in there. Obviously, it's very tough to get into the side unless Alisson is injured, because we all know that Alisson, for some of his frailties that he has shown this season, he's probably one of the best keepers in the world, if not the best keeper in the world. But just going through a tough season like his teammates. So the question is, with Caoimhín Kelleher in there as number 2, first of all, would it be a good move for Caoimhín Kelleher to move away, or should he hang on longer to get his opportunity? And then you have to ask yourself, is at a time where Alisson may decide to move on or get to that age and stuff like that, will Liverpool honour that kind of number 2 position and Caoimhín will become number 1, or would they go back into the market for a potential goalkeeper that's out there? Who knows? So the talk is Caoimhín wants more game time. And to be honest with you, it's an interesting one for me, because it's one of those positions that I believe if Alisson's out injured, and I don't want any player out injured, but if Alisson's out injured and QIA is in, I never worry. I never panic. I never think of it as being, a step down or a grade down or something like that. I think QIA Kelleher is exceptional. I think he's an excellent goalkeeper and deserves somewhat more game time. So the question is, the talk is of him leaving the club. Now, if he leaves the club, numbers are being banded around anywhere from 15 million to 30 million. Which I think obviously he's a number two, but of his quality, certainly 15 million would certainly not be happening in my eyes, and I'd be looking closer to the 30 million if I was going to part company with him. He certainly goes in as a number one into a number of teams in the Premier League, no problem. And if you're a number one keeper in the Premier League at the moment at a Premier League club, your value has to be at least around the 30 million mark. But it's an interesting one as well, because the dynamic there is, the talk is that they may sell him in order to use the funds in terms of the squad. So that's a kind of a weird one as well, because are we assuming then that if QIA was to go, that Adrian was going to become the number two, or are they going to have to bring in a number two? And I would imagine if they're going to bring in a number two, he's probably going to cost you in around the same money. And that's my concern with that move. I don't want to see QIA go, not just because I'm Irish, but because I really do believe he's a top-class goalkeeper. And he's a super apprentice for Alisson. And certainly when he's sitting on the bench there, he's the one, I believe, that really drives Alisson on in some of his performances as well, because he knows there's a number two right behind him there who's more than capable of going between the sticks for Liverpool Football Club. So that's one of those positions that we don't really worry about. But if Adrian was to move into the number two position, I'd be quite worried. Ian's back in the comments. Where is everyone? I don't know, Ian. This is a Liverpool one, so the boys normally come on for the mashup and the Thursday tier and stuff like that, and the match reaction. So this one I'm just sort of putting it out there as a bonus show, if you like. Mason Mount is one that we have to talk about. He has been linked with Liverpool Football Club. There's talk that a move could be made from, I'm not too sure Chelsea would let him go. I'm not even too sure maybe if the Chelsea fan base would want him to go. But it's an interesting one. But for me, it's kind of like, we've been obliterated this season with injuries and stuff like that. And, having to change formations and having to change lineups and having to fit things in. And, we've just had a kind of a stop-start, spluttery type of season. And for me, Mason Mount is one that I would be concerned about as well, because he's quite inconsistent himself. So it's an interesting one. Morris in the comments. He was sitting in the background till he heard me mention Mason Mount. Did I hear Mason Mount? Morris comes out. He's garbage. Yeah, absolutely, Morris. And that's kind of my concern, Morris, is that like once a month he might crop up and do something. But like, I firmly believe at Liverpool at the moment we have a number of lads that are like that already, and I don't think we need to add to that profile, let's say. So Mason Mount for me would not be one. And I was looking at an interview today with John Barnes. I think it was in the Echo, not too sure, but John Barnes believes Liverpool should wait rather than potentially signing players that they don't want. The concern about that is that if you wait and then you're not competitive and then you don't get top four or whatever it is, have you bit off your nose to spite your face? But I don't know how Mason Mount fits into a Jurgen Klopp side. I think he would probably struggle and stuff like that. And I just think, who knows? I mean, maybe he could come in and maybe a change of scenery and a rebirth and a re-beginning of his career and stuff like that. And, to take the pressure off him in terms of what he carries on his back in terms of Chelsea Football Club. It might be the change of scenery that he needs that maybe catapults him. We know on his day the quality is there and he can be a quality footballer, but if you look at him overall, it's a struggle, really, and not what we need at the moment. We need someone to come in with real quality who's going to give it to us game after game after game. Morris, maybe he can carry the water bottles. Look, we've enough water bottle carriers in there at the moment on big money. Morris in the comments, good fella. How are you? From absolutely. So Mason Mount, that's just wanted to give my thoughts on that. If I'm going out to get a midfielder, and I don't even know what Mount will cost at the moment, but I presume it will be reasonable money. And I think if we're going to spend reasonable money, I think we could find or unearth midfielders out there in the market that might do a better job, let's say. Let's talk about the sale at the moment, and there's an interesting dynamic on this sale at the moment because we've gone from a potential sale to a potential investment to potentially shareholders. So it's evolving all the time, and heavy links there with QIA and Qatar and stuff like that who are interested in coming in, but I don't know whether they want to come in under that kind of investment thing, stroke shareholder thing. I think they're looking to buy a club. But maybe the whole idea is, I know there can be huge difficulties in terms of circumventing and navigating the Premier League proper approval process that they go through, fit and proper approval process. And I wonder, can you come in as an investor with a certain percentage, and then if you've been in there for potentially, say, a year or whatever it is, maybe that process is a little bit more simplified if you go for a full ownership or something like that. I'm not too sure. My gut feel would say it probably would be, because you're functioning in there and you've been in there as an investor. So I don't know if there's a level of percentage you have to take up at a club that you then have to go into that process anyway. I'm not too sure, but it just looks to me like as if they're trying to find a happy medium in terms of getting people on board and getting investment in. Obviously, we're going to speak about Jude Bellingham, and it looks like the information coming out there is that Liverpool are right at the forefront of that as the preference, and it looks like it's going to happen. That apparently Jurgen Klopp is on Jude Bellingham nearly on a daily basis in terms of keeping abreast of what's going on. And it looks like that could happen, but that's going to be a huge amount of money. And the fear is going into this summer's transfer window, we're going to need a whole heap of players, because the drop-off has been monumental, and players, again, as we said at the start of the season when this started to unravel, are going to be a year older, and more mileage on them and stuff like that. And a lot of these players have picked up injuries, some of them serious injuries, long-term, out 2, 3, 4, 5 months and stuff like that and all, and it's a real struggle. And we don't know how those players are going to come back. We don't know when Luis Diaz returns. Is he going to be the same Luis Diaz that went out? We don't know about Diogo Jota. Is he going to be the same player when he comes back? We just don't know. So it's the unknown. And that's the real concern at the moment. But in terms of the sale of the club, it seems to be shifting day by day. And I think there's a story came out today, I think in the Echo, saying that the preference now is that FSG are looking for shareholders to come in, obviously to raise money through a share option or something like that, that they could use these funds then to give to Jurgen Klopp to bring in the players that he wants to bring in and refresh the squad and stuff like that. The other one that I thought was an interesting one today, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I don't have to repeat here my thoughts on that. I think most people would know it. But apparently Brighton are interested in signing them. So we do a straight swap for Caicedo, but don't see that happening. But apparently they want him on a free. We know he's out of contract in the summer. So the thoughts is, should we let Ox off? Considering the kind of predicament we're in at the moment, and how fairly light our bench is and stuff like that, I'm not sure whether we can afford to let Ox go, as much as it hurts me to say it, in this window. But Brighton would be willing to take him on a free if we were willing to release him now rather than wait till the summer. It just depends on our own approach over the next 6-7 days, what our own intentions is in the market, and are we going to bring things in, back in the comments, get in there, Morris, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. And Morris is back, or Ian's back in. It's Morris, good fella. Get in there, Morris, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so good. He said it twice. So that's the kind of issue with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain at the moment. Jude Bellingham, as I said, there's been information coming out there where it looks like Liverpool are definitely the favourites to sign him and look like they're going to do it. A couple of articles came out today that Real Madrid had offered. Widely hear this. This is crazy. Real Madrid had offered Dortmund 100 million and Camavinga, and I'm kind of thinking they brought Camavinga in for that youth project in midfield and to match him up with his teammate Tchouaméni and stuff like that, and all the, Tchouaméni came in to match up with Camavinga, who was there beforehand, and now the youth project in midfield, and they're bringing in a youth. If it was Jude Bellingham, they're going to abandon and send Camavinga out the door as a make weight for the Jude Bellingham deal with 100 million. And that should ring alarm bells with Jude Bellingham if he's even thinking about that or considering that, because the following season, if it doesn't go right, it could be him. And that's a bit of a concerning move. I don't think it's one that Dortmund would go for. Camavinga's he's a very good footballer and stuff like that, and a real good prospect, still pretty young and stuff like that, but hasn't really had his moment to shine at Real Madrid. And of course, we know the difficulties of getting into a Real Madrid midfield, Kroos and Modric and everything else that's there. You know what I mean? That's quite the close shop. Just to let you know, 21 minutes gone, Nottingham Forest 0, Manchester United 1. Still that one goal, Marcus Rashford on 6 minutes. Let's talk about fitness and injuries and potential returns and all that kind of stuff. I'll go down through the list of the key ones. At the moment, obviously, Van Dijk is out, looking like a potential February return, and I think they're targeting the Merseyside derby. And I'm just thinking now they're targeting the Merseyside derby, back to where the accident happened, isn't it? Really. So I'm not sure about the omen on that. I'm not sure I'd be bringing Van Dijk back off an injury to put him into the Merseyside derby. Where that could just just the thoughts of that coming back and biting you in the ass scares me, and stuff like that. Firmino was looking like a February return. It'd be great to have Bobby back. Jota is looking like a February return as well. We know he's back doing a bit of work, and we've seen Luis Diaz doing a bit of work as well, which is very encouraging. They're targeting Jota potentially back for the Real Madrid game, which would be great to have Jota back for that. Luis Diaz, they're talking March, best case, but could be April, which is a shame. Really looking forward to Luis Diaz coming back. Arthur Melo is February. He could be our new midfield signing, couldn't he? The way they do things and stuff like that. And Calvin Ramsey is one that I'm interested in. He seems to be playing in the academy at the moment, the 21s. We know he got a red card there a few weeks ago, but he's been back. He was back playing again on the 22nd. I think he played 90 minutes or something like that. So Calvin Ramsey, kind of a very strange one on a strange signing. Calvin Ramsey came in, identified an injury, kind of nearly came in injured, if you like, but a difficult one to kind of figure out and stuff like that. But I seen a stat today, and I want to get your thoughts on this in the chat as well. This is an interesting one. Liverpool are 30 games into the season so far, so between all games, Champions League and everything else and all that. Very, very interesting. 30 games into the season, and only six players, just let that sink in the whole of the senior squad, 6 players have avoided injury. And 7 if you include Cody Gakpo now, who's just come in January. So that means 23 different players in the first team squad have been carrying an injury at some stage this season. And I think they said it was ruled out for at least one game due to an injury. 23 different players. It's absolutely frightening. Eno's back in there. Support and subscribe to Cheapy Productions Podcast. Absolutely, Morris doing a great job there. We seen there, just to give you an update there, Surridge had the ball in the net, but it was ruled out marginally offside with an equaliser there on 22 minutes. 25 minutes gone, still 1-0 to Man United. Surridge, nice little tidy player he is there. Henry's back in. How are you, Henry? Thanks for joining us again the other night, evening, mate. Watching the women play tonight, so I will be in and out. Not a bother at all, Henry. Appreciate you coming on. And my brother from another mother, Get these money grabbing tramps out of my club. Absolutely. Dino, you talking about players as well, or are you talking about players and football? And give me your thoughts. Ox today. The talk is Brighton would take him now on a free. My guess is me and you would drive him there directly. Um, Also, Dino back in as well. Selling Nat Phillips to raise funds, all that money generated, and we have to do business like this. Sickening that people still back FSG. Yeah, and what do you think about the Nat Phillips situation? I mean, they're bringing back Reece Williams off loan from Blackpool. I think, Dino, you're probably like me. You'd probably prefer Nat Phillips to stay than Reece Williams, would you? But give me your thoughts. Let me know in the chat. Be good to talk about it and stuff like that. I really like Nat Phillips. I think he's one of those old school centre backs who just get stuck in. And when you see him there split open on the headband and, giving you 100% and stuff like that, when you think about the effort that he put in that season as well, when we were out of defenders and stuff like that to get us back to where we were and all, really, really like him. Anfield Road TV in the chat tonight. Welcome on board. Big up, mate. Hope you're well. Have to get you on the channel soon enough. Yeah, hit me up anytime you want me on. Just give me a shout if I'm available. Gladly jump on, mate. Yeah, good to see you in there, and thanks for tuning in. Check that out as well. Anfield Road TV. Absolutely, hit them up. Like, subscribe, and share all the content, folks. Got to bring this Liverpool fan base back together again. We're fragmented both on the pitch, in the boardroom, and in the fans on the stands on the terraces. We've got to get it all back together. If we're going to try and drive and push and hopefully try and get back into that top four, we need everyone pulling the same direction. So let's just kind of bring us all back together again. We can disagree on stuff, but we're always Reds. Dino back in. All those so-called top Reds, not saying names, but not one of them afraid to rock the boat regarding FSG not spending a penny. Yeah, I suppose it's a difficult one for them, Dino, because we remember a lot of those channels and stuff like that when they were kind of, I won't say in their infancy, but when they were kind of like a bit more pragmatic in their approach, let's say, and then they evolved into these huge channels and stuff like that, and they've been given access to the club and exclusive interviews with players and with the gaffer, and they did documentaries, and they've really evolved into the next phase of football coverage and broadcasting and all that kind of stuff. So it's a difficult one for them, how they sort of handle that situation and stuff like that. The main thing is, I think, for all of us, is we want Liverpool just to get back to winning ways. And whatever way that comes about between owners, the change of ownership, investment, whatever it is, it has to come about. Change has to happen, and all we can do is hope that Klopp is at the spearhead of that and stuff like that. And it's a difficult season so far, even in terms of Jurgen Klopp, because even some of the stuff he's been coming out. If you think the November period and when we came back off the World Cup or whatever it is, December, and you think about some of the post-match interviews and the pre-match press conference stuff like that, there's been a kind of mixed messages coming through all the time. So everything is kind of up in the air at the moment. We're struggling injury wise. I'm sure we're trying to sign players. We have to be trying to bring players in when we see the performances and stuff like that. Otherwise, they have a mammoth task in the summer, because I'm not joking when I think in the summer we're probably looking for 5 or 6 players, and I'm not even messing. Now that's conservative. But we shall wait and see. Dino, always love you in the chat, mate. Love you, brother. Know your frustration and stuff like that, and I know it's always only out of love for the club and stuff like that. We do love it. Me and you have sat in that cup in tears. We have cherished these great moments over the last few years. We have cried together. We have laughed together. We have FaceTimed each other and WhatsApp video called each other from the stands. And look, we'll get back there again. There's no doubt we'll get back there again. It's a struggle at the moment. And as I said in a previous chat, and I've said it before as well, the road is long, but the journey will be worth it. And I said that when we won the league again after 30 years. It's been a long, long road, but sometimes it tastes even better when it's like that. I don't expect it to be another 30 years, but I do think there's a lot of people out there at the moment talking about the moral high ground and the issues in relation to who the investors might be, and how tainted the money might be and all that kind of stuff. And what I would say to those people out there as well is I understand your concerns, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. but you can't rock in, day out, wearing your Nike and your Adidas and your designer gear and your mobile phones and stuff like that, and then take the moral high ground and pick and choose your battles. I think what Liverpool has to do, they have to find a way to get back being competitive. They need a huge investment that should have been made over the last 4 to 6 transfer windows. That wasn't. And Dino in the chat there will always tell you his biggest line that he always says, and it's a really valid line and an important one, and I love when he says it all the time. We did have the opportunity when we were winning. We had the opportunity to create a dynasty and to create a legacy and a history similar to the old days. And we missed the beat. We stalled on what we were doing. We missed the beat. And now we're paying the price for it, for stagnating and trying to wring out that tail that we call the squad. Kyle in the chat, how are you, Kyle, my friend? Check out Kyle's channel as well, Kyle Walsh Gunner. Back releasing content, loving the content at the moment. Me and him kind of think on a similar vein as well. We're big Trossard fans, and they signed Trossard and stuff like that, so he was delighted. And what a win the other day against United. I often say sometimes when you're playing United as well, it tastes so much sweeter when you score a late one, doesn't it? I know sometimes it feels great when you're bashing them up 3-4-5-0 and stuff like that, like we have previously and stuff like that. But I don't know, there's something just beautiful about that injury time goal against them, isn't it? Because for years we're so used to them doing it to teams, so when it's done to them, it just tastes even sweeter. And big up to Arsenal at the moment. Arteta doing a great job. Some good signings coming in there and stuff like that. And I knew it would happen. And you know, long may it continue for Arsenal. They've been out in the doldrums for long enough now. They're a big club and they should be there sitting at the top table. So big up to them. In my opinion, you need to sign a lot of new players, mate. Absolutely. A whole new midfield to start with. I want you back competing. Liverpool, like ourselves, a real football club. Absolutely, cool. Absolutely. And we will. Henry back in the comments as well. In my opinion, we have to look to win the Champions League. In my opinion, I think the top 4 is out of our reach. I wouldn't say it's fully out of our reach yet, but we do need to go on a run. We need to make a statement, try and get a few players back, go on a run, put together a run of 5, 6, 7 games if we could. And I know that's a huge task this year from what we have seen. And then let's see where we stand after that. I think there is still that slight opportunity that we could do it. As we know, the next 5 to 6 days are pivotal in the window. And don't forget, Tuesday, folks, we will be counting down deadline day right till the deadline and stuff like that. We'll be bringing you all the latest transfer news as it unfolds. We'll be tracking it all the way through Sky Sports and all that kind of stuff. So don't forget, you get a bonus show next week. I think on the Tuesday it is deadline day. And we'll be bringing you through all the transfers as they happen. And then probably Thursday, Tier Talk next week, we will be taking a look at the signings that have been made and what kind of potential impact that could have on the clubs that made them. So always really good shows around deadline day and stuff like that for your enjoyment. But yeah, Henry, a good shout. I don't know if we can't put a run together in the league. I think we could really struggle in terms of the Champions League. Ian, hopefully sometime next week, Niall, I'll drop over to the shop. Yeah, absolutely, man. Call in whenever you want. We close to it though. Yeah, absolutely, Henry. We are right on the line. Absolutely. And that, Kyle's back in again. I hope Dazzler will be here tomorrow night. Noel, I'm coming for him. He will be here tomorrow night. Don't worry about that, Kyle. He's always the Thursday night, the ladies' choice, let's say, Thursday night when you get paid and go out clubbing. So Dazzler will be here tomorrow night. He never hides and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely. If you want to come from, hopefully and see how it goes and stuff like that. But should be a good one. Absolutely. We love the banter all the time. Henry back. Jota is hopefully back next 5 weeks for full training. Yeah. I think he's they're kind of targeting, what did I say? The Real Madrid game is the one that they're targeting. So yeah, so he needs to be back in the next. I'm not sure whether they're targeting the home or the away game. So that will tie in with what you're saying, Henry, there of the 5 weeks. But yeah, that's it. That's the latest update on Liverpool. That's where we're at the moment. We have an evolving sort of ownership that's caught up in a lot of stuff. I did mention on Mo Salah as well, probably forgot to mention as well, you've seen the pictures coming out with him and the agent having dinner with the owners of PSG and stuff like that and all. And then there's talk there as well at PSG at the moment. There's talk of summer exits at the moment there for Neymar, and also talking Messi potentially following Ronaldo to Saudi in a huge money deal. So if those two boys moved out, certainly PSG would be in the market for Mo Salah. There's no doubt about it. And if they are, maybe we could ratchet the price up just a little bit more if he intends to go. But that's the talk that's going around at the moment, and it kind of fits the narrative in terms of when you put all the pieces together. The also Mbappe has actually instructed the transfer committee as well at PSG that he wants Bernardo Silva signed. I was reading that today, and we'll be exploring that more tomorrow night and Thursday Tier Talk. But until next time, folks, keep it red. You'll never walk alone. Always justice for the 97. We're always Klopp in. FSG out most of the time. And let's see where it goes. We've got 5 days in the transfer market to save our window. Can Liverpool pull a rabbit out of the hat and get it back? With the last comment, shout out to everyone on the podcast chat. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We love all you guys in the chat and stuff like that. Make sure you're liking the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification because we go live all the time with some of these bonus episodes. Also, check out some of the shorts I'm dropping with some information coming out on a daily basis. And we will talk to you tomorrow night for Thursday Tier Talk, where myself and Dazzler will be sharing the screen. Until next time, Reds. Got to keep on pulling in the same direction.